What's your favorite live-action anime adaptation? This one has 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it might be the first time I've ever agreed with that website. It's day 99 of 365. Today's movie, The Last Airbender. This one's directed by M. Night Shyamalan and is starring a bunch of white people that the producers put in for absolutely no good goddamn reason. We are in for a bad one today, folks. This might be pound for pound one of the worst ones that we've talked about in this series so far, and will likely end up in the top 5, if not top 3, by the time we're done. Now, the sad part is I was absolutely elated to hear this pitch when we heard about this movie starting. This is a beloved American anime being filmed by one of my favorite directors of all time. I'm a big apologist and/or fan and/or supporter of M. Night. His films are, on the whole, very, very good, and even his bad ones are bad in just the best ways that I like all of them. But specifically, he was on a winning streak at this point with The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and Signs. Those are 3 top-tier masterclass films. So to hear he was the guy going to do Avatar, there was just no way it could go wrong. Viewer, I hate to inform you, it did in fact go wrong. Genuinely, so much went wrong here. The choice to make an entire season 1 movie was out the gate not a good one. And from there, they just couldn't help but ruin thing after thing after thing, turning Appa into a sky taxi with barely any screen time, Momo subjugated into set dressing, and oh my god, this movie is so white. And no, I don't mean just the snow locations at the beginning and the end. Even at 19, I could tell this was just not it. And I was happy when we found out it was not going to get any sequels. They just shit-canned the whole thing from here. I had actually rewatched this in 2017 for the Film Rescue Show, and me and the poor guest suffered through it then. And I gotta say, in the last almost 10 years, it has not aged any better. Revisiting this in 2025 was just as much torture, so if I'm able to, let me try to pull 3 things that I at least liked out of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie. The first thing that I genuinely like about this movie are the effects. If ILM is here, I'm going to be complimenting the effects. Not only are the effects in this movie stunning, all the way from the sphere that comes up out of the ice, that is still an amazing set piece, I think, all the way down to the effects that we get up to the end. Some of the tsunami bits were reminding me of 2012, which we had just talked about recently in the series. So I was kind of blown away across it how good many parts of this movie still look. If the movie was to be sold basically only on the effects, I was going to buy a ticket anyways. It just looks fantastic. This is also something that was apparently a difficult thing to accomplish because it was all accomplished without stand-ins. When you're doing effects like this, having a stand-in, when you hear actors talking about acting to tennis balls, that's what we're talking about as far as a stand-in goes. And ILM had the onerous job of having to fill in things like Appa and Momo in screen with nothing to react them to. That's a difficult task on their own. They've perfected that at this point. When you look at movies like The Creator, which are doing those kind of effects so realistically now that Airbender almost pales in comparison. But it's still worth pointing out that this is where their proving ground was. They started off doing things for Star Wars. Star Wars still looks fantastic, although I do advocate for a new coat of paint on the prequels. I think they would definitely benefit from it. But that's how you get from there to Airbender to things like The Creator, things that are so fantastic looking that you have to look twice to guess if they did it practically or not. They weren't quite there here yet, but still, for 2010, this is 15 years ago, and some of this stuff looks near realistic. I'm absolutely blown away by that. So I'll give them props here. This is, on an effects level, a very good looking movie. The second thing that I at least like about this movie is Dev Patel's here. I love Dev Patel. Honestly, his breakout role in Slumdog Millionaire was what put him on the map. I recently watched Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later, and that guy is always just a fantastic director. His ability to cast young actors is a great eye. This movie could have absolutely derailed that success train for Dev Patel. Thankfully, it didn't. I really am appreciative of that. I'm very thankful that Dev Patel has now had a huge career, including directing and making his own movies. I don't know if y'all saw Monkey Man, but that shit was fire! Within this movie, too, this is one of the better performances overall. This character is a fan favorite, of course. Prince Zuko is absolutely integral to this story, and one of the most important stories across this series, if we're being honest. He's got a lot of character development to happen, and it would have been cool to see Dev Patel do this. He could have pulled this off had this series continued. The rest of the cast, maybe not so much. This movie's known for having bad acting, and that's something that I can see levied against M. Night. His movies tend to be made or broken off of the actor's ability to perform well without excellent direction. His writing's fantastic, his stories and his plots are always A+, but his ability to get the performance out of an actor is not always there, and especially when he's working with new talent. Sometimes you get a Haley Joel Osment, sometimes you get a Dev Patel, and they can really just rock and sock them for you. Sometimes you get the people that are in this movie that just aren't quite as good. While I can forgive a lot, I really can't forgive all the performance in this one, except for Dev Patel. I'm glad he's here. I really think he rocked this shit and would have been able to really bring it had this series continued. The third and final thing that I at least like about The Last Airbender is I'm going to call the room defense. It's good to have bad movies, actually. Sometimes there are movies that need to be made poorly to help us appreciate either the source material or the idea that is being gone for, to help inspire us to do better. This movie is bad in all the wrong ways for a movie to be bad, and then it's successful on a bunch of technical ones that were likely what kept the movie going forward when the dailies were coming back. An executive producer doesn't know the difference between good and bad acting. Sorry guys, I know you think you do, but you really don't. And unfortunately, if you have a director at the helm that also doesn't, you may end up with a subpar amalgamation at the end, but that doesn't always have to be a bad thing. When I think of the Fanforstics and Last Airbenders and The Rooms, I often end up enjoying revisiting these movies just because there's always good nuggets within them. These kinds of projects are made by lots of people, and so to poo-poo the whole thing is not fair. And so I think shouting out things like good lighting, good set design, things like that are worth doing and worth watching for. You can still learn something from watching a bad movie. But what do you think? Is this just so bad it's not worth returning to, or have you revisited The Last Airbender recently? We're coming up on our 100th movie, and for that one we're talking about Predators, and I'll see you tomorrow.